Welcome to Straight from the Loading Dock, insights into Cleveland industrial real estate. This is actually take two because of some equipment malfunction where I forgot to hit the record button. So learning experience, it is what it is.
We're open to being vulnerable here. We screwed up the technology. Look, we're just getting used to this.
So this is so I'm hopeful that this is better than the one that we recorded.
They'll never know. They'll never know.
I mean, so the answer is yes. This is going to be way better than the one we just recorded.
100%.
So
we're flipping the script.
Yes.
Right? We're flipping the script. George is the host of Straight from the Loading Dock, but this episode, I am interviewing George. Ooh. And so, we'll see how this goes. Don't blame me. George, what we wanted to do on this one is, can you give the audience an overview of the industrial market from 2024?
Yeah, so when we look at the Northeast Ohio market, we track an 8-county area that's Cleveland down through Akron and Canton. Roughly 527 million square feet of industrial space, which is puts us in the call it top 10 industrial market in the United States, which surprises a lot of people. We're a very mature market. When you compare us to Columbus or Cincinnati, you're seeing significant growth in those markets from a new construction perspective because we've been around a lot longer.
Yep.
I've started doing our statistics for CRESCO Real Estate, Cushman, Wakefield, back in the fourth quarter of 2005.
Whew.
And we kind of talked. My statistics are older than some of my kids, and almost close to my son George Jr., who is now heading up our research department when he joined us last year. It's kind of funny that I kind of go back that far. We have the current vacancy rate's at about 2.8%. And it's hovered in at around 3% for the better part of the last 3 years. So it's a good thing. It's a bad thing depending upon whether you're an owner user, whether you're a tenant or landlord.
Yep.
And the markets are all cyclical right now. It just happens to favor ownership and landlords. We'll see about, and we're going to kind of jump into 2025 a little bit. We're going to see about 4.7 to nearly 5 million square feet of new construction this year. But when you really break it down, there's two large projects that are leading the charge. One being Ford Motors' 2.7 million square foot expansion in Avon Lake and Sheffield Village. And then the other is HC Companies out in Middlefield. And that is going to be about 750,000 square feet. So when you kind of peel that out, there's about a million and a half square feet of new construction, which is down, pretty significantly from where it's been kind of in the past 4 years roughly, where we're seeing an average of 3 to 4 million square feet of space. And, in 2019 was actually kind of the high point where we were about 4.8 million square feet of new construction.
Yep.
And then since we've been tracking it since January, I keep seeing January, but first quarter of 2007, the market's seen about 47 million square feet of, call it this newer bulk type product built.
Yeah. What about in 2005 when we started, what was the vacancy rate, just out of curiosity, 20 years ago?
Well, 9.2%.
9%.
So
it's a whole different world.
It certainly was, but it actually it got worse before it got better. Kind of fast forward to 2010. Vacancy rate was at actually 9.4%.
Yep.
And then it wasn't until 2015 when everything kind of slowly started down. So in 2015 it was about 6%, and then like you said, since about 2020 we've been 3.7 to kind of 2.8.
Yeah.
And, and that's, I liken it to, where we're at is kind of a little bit of an unhealthy market overall, because when there's a little bit of stagnation, that's kind of bad.
Yeah.
And historically, industrial real estate, we do good in up markets, down markets, but when there's stagnation, that's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah. And 2005 industrial wasn't cool. 2024, 25 industrial, and even the last 6 years, I feel like it's cool to be in the industrial space. Is that how you remember it when it was 20 years ago?
It certainly was not cool. I was a lot younger. I had more hair, but it's okay. I'm okay with it. But industrial it's fun when industrial is actually the favorite child.
Yeah.
Because we haven't been.
Yeah.
And the offices has been the favorite child, multifamily's been the favorite child, retail has been the favorite child, but now it's our turn.
It's your turn.
And we're doing it proud.
Yes.
We're doing it proud. Yeah, by way of example, so leasing activity last year, there was about 12.6 million square feet of leases completed. On the sales side, and this is investor and user, about 16.2 million square feet of sales activity within the market. Not vacancy rate, average asking rates, finished the year at about $5.91 a foot.
Yep.
When you compare that to 2005, we're in the low $4 a foot range. So you go from low $4 a foot range to high fives.
Yeah.
And it certainly made a lot of owners of real estate very, very happy.
Yeah.
One of the other things is we're seeing consistent annual increases between 3% and 4%. Several years ago you were doing flat 3 and 5 year deals.
Yep.
Shorter term deals in the past. Now you're seeing 5-year deals, 7-year deals. 7-year deals, 10-year deals, so kind of a evolving change in the overall landscape.
Yeah. So, George, the other thing that we've talked a bunch about is you've put so much time into this platform, and it's really a big team effort at CRESCO to put this together. But how do you convert all of that energy and commitment to everything from an institutional buyer and owner of real estate, even all the way down to a tenant rep assignment? Because I know you're referencing this stuff every day, but share with the group how do you use it, and our clients and our prospective clients, why do they benefit from it?
Yeah, the reality is, I want to make sure that whoever I'm working with understands that I'm the market expert. Mm-hmm. I know where deals are getting done. I know where lease rates are getting done. I know where, what annual increases, a tenant or landlord can expect. We have a great gauge, how much free rent, is happening in the market, because it all changes. Yep. On a quarterly basis, a yearly basis. We have a institutional client that has to, critique every single lease deal that they do to a committee. So they need to come armed with all the information. They need to know that we provide them comp sets on a very regular basis. And this portfolio, it's a 11 building portfolio, with 1 million square feet of space, and tenants that range in size from 5,000 square feet to 200,000 square feet. Mm-hmm. And then, but a bulk of them are, between, call it 5 and 75,000 square feet. So we need to make sure that we have comparable information and, applicable other abatements that might be available to give them, so that they can go to their committee and say, this is the deal we should make, this is why.
Yep.
And, we've been able to assemble that information, and, so it makes our clients look that much better.
Yep.
And, they're well informed. And it makes me look like, I'm the market expert,
Yeah, which you are.
Which I am.
Yeah. And then it goes even beyond just you, George, because you share that with all of the industrial brokers at CRESCO, and you've made me look good on more than one occasion because I've been treated as the industrial expert, and our entire team is that way because there's such a regimented commitment to the data-based model, right?
It certainly is. It's a passion, but it's a team effort.
Yeah.
Of gathering the information and sharing of the information. And it's as much as it is on the industrial side of it's the same thing with our office department. And now all of a sudden we have a new quarterly report that our retail department's going to be working on.
Right.
So we want owners of real estate, we want tenants, we want people looking at the Northeast Ohio market to come to us for this information so that they understand that we know this market better than anybody else does.
Yeah, what they can rely on is that we're mining the data, and I've admired the commitment of this firm to maintain that professionalism and commitment to accuracy. Because coming from outside the real estate industry, the data is crap. And unless you are mining it meticulously, as we do at CRESCO, it's garbage. And so what's great here is it does take time, and we are committed to it because it's going to help our clients, and that's what's most important to us.
It is, yeah. There's many platforms out there. The platforms they're a necessary evil.
Right.
There has been historic trends that we've been able to see and utilize, but to your point is the information is below average. Can you get some general idea? Yes. But we are very diligent in making sure that we are pulling information from every source that we have available, combined with information from these other databases that we subscribe to.
Yeah.
And he shall not be named. So but it's most important to make sure that there is quality data integrity, versus just throwing stuff against a wall.
Yeah.
And it's a pledge that I'm very passionate about, and and we as a firm.
So nobody has a crystal ball, but before we wrap up, you have been mining this data certainly over the last 20 years, but the last year. As you look into 2025, I don't know, George, it doesn't have to be a big statement, but are there any trends that you're looking forward to, or just that you're kind of waiting to see how it's going to happen, whether it's global economy, whether it's owner, whether it's vacancy? Is there anything that just stands out to you and stuff you're monitoring?
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a little pause for concern in the industrial market. I think we kind of hit the peak, and I think we're going to face some headwinds in 2025, and we're kind of seeing a little bit from a political environment, from tariffs. Locally, we've already had a couple of large companies announce shutdowns. With Sherwood Foods, which actually just announced yesterday, and they're going to vacate about 300,000 square feet here locally. But that was kind of a national shutdown. And then Joann Fabrics, which has been a staple here in our region for a while, they're going to be closing all their activities, and they have a 1 million square foot plus facility in our backyard. So and those are just a couple, and there's several others that have already hit this year. So some bigger blocks of space are coming to hit the market. Creates opportunities.
Yep.
But some we haven't been kind of used to over the last couple of years.
Well, I think that wraps us up.
Yeah.
So that's this episode of Straight from the Loading Dock. Thanks for joining us, guys.